On the last day of her life, offered clues as to how she ended up on that muddy riverbed.
Nothing.
Just alone in her car, running errands. Running errands. 30 minutes later, 20 miles away, there she was. 20 miles. That's her in her car, driving toward the river. That's her in her car, driving toward the river. Had to be.
We could tell that there was a very small person. driving the car.
It was just after 11 a.m. It was the last ever captured Narvalenko alive. Why in the world was Hera even on that secluded wooden block overlooking the Cozzo? What about Hera herself? On the last day of her life, offered clues as to how she ended up on that muddy river. Surveillance video from a YMCA surveillance video from a YMCA.
And we are just coming to YMCA Drive. Should be taking a right here. Come down this way, entering right here. Came down this way. Came down this way. And turned back around. But in any case, it's 11/16/07. We've got two pictures, one coming in, one coming out. These were pictures that were isolated from a video. Purportedly came over here into the desert development. Of course, these houses may not have been completed, obviously. In 2008, they were under construction, but one of the ways that she could have come is down this path. This road was here. here into the desert development. Of course, these houses may not be completed, obviously. In 2008, they were under construction, but one of the ways that she could have come was down this path. This road was here. And you can kind of see the terrain is, seems to be a general slope downward until we get to about at this stop sign in front of us.
I knew it was a crime scene. I can visualize her fighting for her life on this riverbank right here until someone killed her.
That day was so beautiful out here. There wasn't any clouds, and just right there was that's where we found her, and just the sun beaming on her face like that, I will never forget it.
That's her in her car, driving toward the river. That had to be her in her car, driving toward the river. Had to be. Just alone in her car. Just alone car. Why in the world was there a human on that secluded block out?
Coming to the houses on the end of the block. And then down there, that's where her car went down, this right away. Might be able to see the river just off in the distance there, just glistening. So there's no trespassing. This is the right of way she would have gone down. Well, she could have followed the same path we just took. And then we take off.
Place gives me the willies every time I go down there. Hey, where we going? What we doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. We're recording Ira's travel times that fateful morning, remember? From the bank, where she was first spotted, to the Goodwill, it took us 8 minutes. I'm correcting an error I made in the last episode, summarizing her travel times, which I'm sure you caught. Maybe not. He might not be the only mucker not paying attention around here. But then from the Goodwill to Jackson's Java, it took us 11 minutes. He got that right. But we started this leg of the journey at Jackson's Java at 10:50, arriving at the YMCA at 11:16. Now through some careful calculations, I have deduced that that's 26 minutes. How on earth does he do it? But seriously, is it time for a conversation? Do we need to talk? I mean, let's address the white elephant in the room, shall we? Because I know what you're thinking. I know what's going through your mind. Cozzo, we're recording the travel times, but what we need to know next is the exact time she was at the bank, at the Goodwill, at Jackson's Java, at the YMCA parking lot. I got you. Well, we have several still images of Ira at the bank. What are the timestamps on those images? We don't know yet. But we do have a video of Ira donating clothes at the Goodwill. That's available on the website for this story, and the link is available in the podcast description. You may notice in that video that she pulled into the Goodwill at 10:33 and left at 10:35. We do not have her on camera at Jackson's Java, only news reports that said she was there at 10:50. Not having a video means that we're not going to be able to know the exact time she was there, but we do have images from a surveillance video of her car pulling into the YMCA parking lot and then pulling back out. What are the timestamps on those images? That would be important. We don't know that yet. Now, the Dateline episode mentioned that the images of Ira at the bank and the images of her car pulling into the YMCA and then driving back out later are images that were part of the detective files. Now, if those images were used as exhibits in the Mark Carver case, convicting Mark Carver of Ira's murder, then they would be part of Mark Carver's case file at the courthouse. If we can get a hold of that file, and it contains those images, and those images contain timestamps, then those would be invaluable pieces to solving this puzzle. Not just the timeline puzzle, but it would solve other questions as well. That's right. What was Ira doing at the YMCA parking lot? We have an image of her driving in and later her driving out. It was rumored that she worked at the YMCA at some point or may have known somebody who did. Can you confirm that for Fedora staff? You can remain anonymous. You may be entitled to an official t-shirt. Email Fedora tips@fedora.company or call our hotline 323-212-5425. Remember, you can remain anonymous. In any case, what was she doing there? If we have the timestamps of the car driving in and driving out, we know how long she was there. If she was there for 15 minutes, likely she was talking to somebody maybe. If just a few minutes, she may have just stopped, asked for directions. Or if she drove in and immediately drove right back out, that would raise a whole new series of other questions. But since we're at the YMCA right now, and we are in Gaston County, the courthouse is really just a stone's throw away. We can go there right now if we can get the file, and the images are in the file, and the images contain the timestamps.
That would be perfect. Let's go.
Lift up your heads, you gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors. Let the King of Glory may come in.
Who is this King of Glory?
The Lord, strong and mighty. The Lord, mighty in battle.
Oh, it's the music. He gets so carried away with himself, he does. He's had a momentary lapse of reason, I'm afraid.
You know that, I mean, we worked the first job. Really was. Yeah, we worked at the, Chick-fil-A on Franklin Square. I hate saying that.
Okay, heading into the criminal records division with the clerk. The Carver file should be available. Let's see what they say.
Hey, you have somebody out here? Okay, I'm sorry. All right, apologize. No. All right, well, okay, there we go. Good. Hello, here is the Mark Carver file.
Yes, sir. Come on in.
Well, he's been mucking about with his fire for hours now. What on earth has the bloke come up with now? Well, yes, I have spent hours reviewing this file, and it's all here. The images of Ira at the bank that morning at the counter. There are a few photos, and each of them has a timestamp. The one with the earliest timestamp has a timestamp of 10:18, and the last one says 10:20 and 55 seconds. That's the last time we have on those still images. I also found the timestamp on the images for Ira's car when it's coming into the YMCA parking lot. The image of her coming into the parking lot has a timestamp on it of 11:09 a.m. The timestamp on the image of her leaving the YMCA shows 11:10. Well, this has been a very productive day so far. We've recorded a number of travel times, tracing Ira's step that morning. If these timestamps are indeed accurate, we now know exactly what time she was at the bank, what time she was at the Goodwill, exactly what time she was captured driving first into and then out of the YMCA parking lot, as well as how long she was there. She appears to have driven in and then driven right back out, if that was her driving. That's most peculiar, my dear Watson.
Attention to detail is everything.
Remember what we're trying to figure out. From the bank, where did Ira go next? Did she go from the bank to the Goodwill and then to Jackson's Java? That's the path we've been tracing. Or did she go from the bank, then to Jackson's Java next, and then to the Goodwill? Remember, the news reports were split 50-50 on that point. And since we're talking about the final steps on that fateful morning, the answers to that question are critical. But we are getting closer. But there's one last travel path we need to trace yet. Remember, in episode 5, we mentioned that Interstate 485 is the interstate that encircles Charlotte, a big circle. And in the 2 o'clock position is the campus area. And in the 9 o'clock position is the YMCA parking lot area. And it was another interstate, Interstate 85, that cut that circle in half. Interstate 85 starts in the 2 o'clock position as well, up by the campus area, cuts across the circle into the 9 o'clock position by the YMCA parking lot. We started recording our travel times assuming that her last stop was at Jackson's Java, meaning she went from the bank, then to the Goodwill, and then to Jackson's Java. But we need to consider the alternate route now, because what if she went from the bank, then next to Jackson's Java, and then finally to the Goodwill? Because if the Goodwill area was her last stop, the closest interstate by there to get to the YMCA parking lot is Interstate 485. That's the circle. She would have traveled the path on the top of the circle and wound up in the 9 o'clock position by the YMCA parking lot. So we need to record that travel time today, but the pieces are coming together, aren't they? What do you see? As executive producer of Fedora Media, I promised you that before this day is over, before the clock strikes midnight, there will be revelations concerning Ira's timeline on that fateful morning. Just who is Fedora Media? Why, we're storytellers, and we're on a mission. If we whisper in your ears, we may be just passing by. Lend us your sight, we may just be before your eyes. Drift off to sleep, you may hear us just outside. Always before, sometimes behind. Wherever you may be, we may be lost inside your mind. For the fear or the fright or whoever, pay no mind. For the sadness or the sorrow, the tears or healing scars, reminiscing every season, counting falling stars. For the huntress or the prey, we are all just here to rhyme. So come then, won't you come to this, our pantomime. And feel free to chime in if you'd like others have before you. Are you floating on the sea while this craft is tossed about? Or raising up your hand but then take pause to doubt? Are you grasping the taffrail, yearning for the bow? Or do you stand before the mirror casting demons out? I will play the part, she gasped, and then took a solemn vow. I wonder what he'd think, she thought, if he could see me now. If justice is really woman, then she laughed. Who is now holier than thou? Remember, before the clock strikes midnight tonight.